Hi, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Not Your Culture podcast. I am your host, Jonathan Phillip. I am a multidisciplinary creative. You don't need to know all of the details, but the person you do need to know all the details of is my guest today,
Not all the details.
Sean Michael Field. So, Sean.
Wait, there's no confetti dropping or anything?
Hey, this is very early on. The budget is pretty low, but if you
we can cut up paper, Tell me a low budget. We can't afford to cut paper for you.
Tell them that we can figure things out.
Sorry.
I should actually tell you a bit more about the podcast in case you haven't seen this before.
This is true.
So
then,
Not Your
wait,
Culture.
If you do that and you tell me more about it, then that means that now I'm in the know.
So I should surprise you.
Surprise me.
Okay, I'll surprise him. So let's get into it then.
Let's get in. Let's jump in.
Okay, so my guest today is Sean Michael Field. I call him Sean. Some call him Sean Field.
I call you Johnny.
And Sean is, I think it's easier to say what Sean isn't, but Sean has so many talents. What I have listed here is I start with creative because I think that's an overarching thing that,
Yeah. It's a good one.
Yeah, encompasses pretty much everything. But from what I know, Sean is a filmmaker, an actor, a director, a creative director, DP. He's pretty good at graphic design, brand design and marketing, web design. He's also been a consultant. He's a father. Sean's son is actually here with us today. Say hi, Caleb. Louder.
It would have been funny if he said hi, Caleb.
And a role model to me and many others.
Thank you. Got a computer programmer.
You can finish.
I'm not gonna go.
Okay. Sean is also, the owner and CEO of some of his own businesses. I know of Island Boy Films, Nexicon. There was Nexus Networks.
There was.
Are there what else am I missing? Other things?
There was Creation. Those were the ones that I owned.
Yeah.
Yeah. Those are the only ones that I owned.
We don't need to go that far.
But there's a new one coming.
Oh, okay.
Or two.
Some of the work Sean has done, he's worked for several big name brands, done some stuff for Ciroc, done some stuff for SeaWorld, Burger King, done some stuff working with HBO, certain projects.
Macmillan Publishers, Ashanti. Gosh,
he's done a lot of things. He's done a lot of things
to work with. I've been very, very, very blessed. I'm very fortunate with some of the people that I've gotten a chance to work with and learn from. Sit down with, have one-on-ones. Like I was watching TV last night, and during the game, there's a commercial on ESPN. The guy comes out and he's pulling out the garbage and he's complaining. He should have taken a knee. And he's talking to himself. And then the ESPN sportcaster is there, and they engage in this little conversation. The neighbor comes out, and I turned to Caleb and I said, "Yeah, that's my friend Tori." It's my boy in the commercial.
Yeah.
It's kind of cool to have those moments, which I'm very lucky to have. A lot of those moments.
Yeah.
I've had the chance and the pleasure of working with Master P. I designed his 2009 menswear collection.
I remember you showed me that.
Yeah.
I remember you showed me that.
And pitched the expansion of that to Walmart. So flew out here on a red-eye flight and went into an office and built the presentation, built the deck, and then presented it as well. That was a whirlwind of a trip. I've been very, 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 very blessed and very lucky.
So I was doing my little research because, I wanted to be prepared, and so scrambling through Sean's websites, trying to figure out the ones that I knew, and seeing certain things that some of them I already knew of, and then some of them I didn't know of. And I'm like, damn, Sean has done a lot of stuff, like so much stuff. You've also won awards.
Yes.
How are your films?
I've been again lucky with the awards and
But
the
well deserved.
recognition of the work, which to me just says that people can recognize that I've put in a lot of work into it. Um, I have a desire to do greatness
Mhm.
in all things that I do. And if it's not going to be great, then I really don't want to be involved in mediocrity. Because I just think when you think of the God that made all of us, like we're all great.
Mhm.
The fact that we're alive and able to walk around on these two things and have these and can do here, and that's an amazing thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
God didn't go, oh, let me be mediocre with mankind.
Yeah.
Like
There's a lot that we take for granted that
Yeah.
we can
Yeah.
do. Yeah.
Yeah, look at birds.
Yeah.
Like a bird flies in the air.
Yeah.
Can you make a bird? I can't make a bird. Like that's amazing.
You know what, Sean? I've never tried.
Yeah, I haven't. I don't want to try either. I can make an AI bird though. There you go.
So Sean, the reason why you're here is this being the Not Your Culture podcast. I know you've lived in a lot of places.
Mm-hmm.
So were you were born in Barbados?
Born in Barbados. Raised in Barbados. And then on my 7th birthday, my parents decided it's time to come to America for good. It was built out of an interesting thing that happened to my father. He would have been about 31 at the time, and
Great guy, by the way.
great man. And he started. His father died when he was 14, and so he had to go out and work. There's 7 of them, 6 boys and 1 girl. So the 4 oldest leave school, go to work to pay for the younger 3 to continue their education. And he started working at an advertising agency as the janitor at 14. And by 31 was offered a partnership. And they rescinded the partnership on a racism type of a thing, which caused my father to be...
And this is in Barbados?
This is in Barbados. Well, the stories he's told me. And the things that I know, like there was... if you go down this one street in Barbados, you can see the remnants of this pole that used to cross the street. And that was because black people weren't allowed into that neighborhood after dark. You could come during the day and be the workers, but after dark, and then they would close that. And they got rid of it because a guy on a motorcycle taking someone home got decapitated. And so then they got rid of that. But yeah, he couldn't go in Queen's Park if you were black and certain things. And this was in my father's lifetime.
For those who don't know where Barbados is in the Caribbean. It's right next to right next to St. Lucia, majority black place.
97% black. If you're looking, from Africa coming across, the first place where the slave ships landed and all the decisions were made as to where the slaves went. Did they go to North America? Did they stay in the Caribbean? Did they go to South America? Were they killed? Barbados has a very deep history. Our prime minister just yesterday said, hey, you all owe us $24 billion. We know you can't give it all to us tomorrow and it will take some time, but yeah, we coming for it, right?
Yeah.
Because Barbados was really used and a stranglehold was put on that country to really facilitate slavery. And it helped England become as rich and powerful as it is. That's why Barbados is called Little England.
Yeah.
An island that small has that much power.
Yeah.
When you think about it, our dollar is tied to the U.S. at 1.98 since the 80s.
Yeah.
And it's the only country that has not fluctuated. Why is that? I don't have the answer. But when you look at an island that small and you see it, then you know, all right. So my dad growing up told me all of these stories and all of these things about what it was like to grow up through racism and all that. So then for him to be hit with a rescinded offer of an ownership and a partnership and a big ad agency, let's go to America. I could make it there. I can go to America. I can work in advertising. I can do whatever it is. So on my 7th birthday, we moved to America and we moved to New Jersey, and life changed drastically. Drastically. Going to school immediately. It was interesting to go to a Catholic school. I was coming from St. Cyprian's, which was still an Episcopalian Anglican type of school. We were in our uniforms, so I understood coming and going to a uniform. That wasn't a big deal. But what was a big deal was I was spelling words like through and horse that were 5 and 7 and 8 letters long as a 7-year-old.
Yeah.
And I got to school in America and they were spelling it and he and she and me and you and they. And I was very bored at school instantly.
Yeah.
I mean, it's straight A's. That was easy for me. What are we talking
Yeah.
about here? So it became very, very unique to walk into this place and go, wait, we're the same age, but we're not learning the same thing.
Mhm.
So I'm already advanced beyond where you are at this point. And in Barbados, I was top of my class at the time as well, like perfect A student. So now you're really slow in comparison to where I was at 7.
Yeah.
Then, going to my first swimming lesson, and they have the pool and it's divided up into the 4 corners, and there's the baby, and then there's the intermediate, and then there's the advanced.
Yeah.
and I went through all of those in like 1 week. It was because at 5 years old, my father took me to the
beach.
pier and threw me off in the water and said, swim for your life, boy, and walked back to the pier. And I made it. I'm still here, right? So you learn to swim different. So at that point, coming in, going into like official swimming classes, I was like, in a pool? Are you kidding me? I was like, listen, I could swim the length of this pool under it, like holding my breath.
Yeah.
So it was a culture shock.
Yeah.
Coming here and then experiencing racism at 7 years old as well.
Yeah.
The first time I had to go stand at the bus stop.
Which I was going to ask you about, because it's like your father left Barbados because of racism
and bigger opportunity. And as we get here, I gotta go to school, standing up at the bus stop, and whoop axe, feel this sting in my ass. What the hell is that? I get shot in the butt with a BB gun from a kid across the street. Nigger. I was like, okay, welcome to America. I'm 7. And during the pandemic, a friend of mine got in touch with me and said, hey, I got Al Jazeera's doing some interesting stories during the pandemic about racism and different things. Do you have a story? And I said, well, there was this kid, and I remember you very well. And I know your name, and I mentioned your name. I won't do it here and call you out because you're an artist now and I see you doing your thing. And anyways, but we were playing kickball. I don't know anything about kickball, but I sure as hell know about football and kicking a ball.
Yeah.
So when you roll the ball to me and tell me kick it, I kick it hard. I'm kicking home runs left and right. So I'm doing great for our team, but the other kid on the other team unhappy, and he calls me a nigger. And now at that point, I don't know what this is.
Yeah.
So some of the kids start laughing. Some of the kids are in shock. I start laughing because they're laughing. So now I've taken the power away from him.
Yeah.
And now he feels embarrassed.
Yeah.
And he runs up to me and he pushes me down. And I jump up and the teachers stop it immediately. And my father just says, we're going to go to his house. And we go to his house and we pull up. We don't even get out of the car. And his father opens the door, flips us off at the bird and calls us niggers, tells us get out of his yard. My father flips him off and drives home. Then tells me, if a white person says that to you again, call them a honky. And I was like, you mean like a car horn key? Like I was like, I'm like 8, 7, like this isn't making sense to me. What is a honky?
Yeah.
I don't, anyways, so that didn't work. I didn't call anybody anything. But during the pandemic, I reached out to find this guy and I found him, sure enough. And he's still living in the same town. And he's an artist and he does paintings and different things. And I reached out and I said, hey, Al Jazeera wants to do a story about you and I and an interaction we had when we were like 8. And I don't know if you remember me much, but I would love to see if we can do this. And he was, back and forth. He responded, what's it about? What's it about? And I didn't want to tell him. And I didn't want to, I said, like, they just kind of want to talk on camera and we could talk it out. And then he was like, no, not interested in doing that. And I was like, I wonder if he's still racist. Right, which is why we won't say his name on air. But I know where you are. Yeah.
So that was New Jersey?
So that was New Jersey when we first came. But then we quickly went to Connecticut. We didn't even stay in that school for a full term.
Okay.
Because I had cousins in New Jersey and I had cousins in Connecticut.
Okay.
My mom really likes to shop. So, Connecticut was like a little bit different and there was like a mall and, and it was quieter and these kind of things. So we went to Connecticut and we were able to just relax out there. We had a cousin's house that we were at first. And then from there we, did our thing.
So from Connecticut, fast forward to college?
No, Connecticut was 7 through 12.
Okay.
And then My father was like, enough of this shite. Because by that point now, I've had plenty racism.
Yeah.
I know he had plenty.
Yeah.
We got enough of this going on out here. And I am sure like the American dream didn't Americanize it the way that we wanted it to be. So
American Nightmare.
we came back to Barbados. No. So back to Barbados we go. But now as a 12-year-old, I vex. Because at first I was vexed to leave Barbados.
Yeah.
You carry away from my cousins and everybody. And now we get to America. And just as I started to figure out life a little bit out here,
Yeah.
we leaving?
Yeah.
Go back to Barbados? No. But all my friends when I was 7 ain't my friends no more. And back then there was no internet. They ain't no like sending you pen pals.
Yeah. So there's nothing
just
to keep in
gone.
touch. Yeah. You didn't exist.
So it's just my cousins that I still
You're
was
a
like,
figment of someone's
Exactly.
imagination.
Wait,
Like,
did he
what
really
happened
go
to that?
school here?
Remember
Right,
that kid?
exactly. Remember that kid? So now we show back up in Barbados at 12. Guess what? I ain't got no friends.
Yeah.
Right? I don't
Start
know
all
nobody.
over.
So it's just my cousins. So we can go to school. Oh, 2 years later, we get back to America. Big man. Wanna and this thing here that wanna do to me, right? But we can go back to America in a different town. Wait, not even the same town, so I can at least go back to the friends I had. No, you can go to the next town, just next door.
Yeah.
Y'all ain't right. And even better, we're gonna start you off in the town that you were in. We can get you accepted to that school. We're gonna set out your curriculum. We can do all these things. And you're gonna start at the football team. You're gonna start practicing. You're gonna ride your bicycle there. You're gonna be in your helmet. You're gonna really feel like you're going to school here.
Yeah.
And then no, you can go to this other school. Last minute in this other town. So no, here I am going. Okay, I don't know no one in this school.
A lot of movement.
A lot of movement.
A lot of movement.
I have moved over 40 times in my life.
40?
40. I have had over 40 addresses. I had 40 addresses by the time I turned 40.
See, this explains so much about you.
I'm a nomad for sure. And I am, but it has provided me with a perspective on life. Like I really think that I came into this earth in a time where I got to see, we were talking about this, I got to see things for the first time.
Yeah.
I got to see a cassette tape for the first time.
Mm-hmm.
I got to see DVD for the first time,
Mhm.
CD.
Mhm.
I got to see the internet for the first time.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and the internet that I got to see was in the 80s when I was a geek playing with my Texas Instruments 99 4A, which I just watched Whitey Cracker. He's a big, huge hacker.
Uh-huh.
And he was talking about having a Texas Instruments 99 4A, and that was where he kind of learned. And I was like, yeah, that was the thing. That was a geek machine.
Yeah.
Everybody else had an Atari and a Commodore and playing video games. And
Yeah.
I was like, you know, coding and figuring out modem internet stuff, which gives you a different perspective.
Yeah.
And seeing it all live and happening real time, seeing Michael Jackson do Beat It on the award show real time, begging my mom to stay up that night. Luckily, you stayed up and you saw it because you didn't have a VCR.
Yeah.
It wasn't replayed the next day.
No.
If you didn't see it,
You didn't see it.
you didn't see it.
You
That
weren't
was
there.
it.
You
Sorry
weren't
for
there.
you, buddy.
You weren't
had
there.
to hear about it
Yeah.
and then wait till whenever years later, you know, it might have come back out on a rerun or something. And
Yeah.
then you were like, oh gosh, that's what that was. So there was so many things like that you didn't want to miss out. Like I did the Pepsi challenge back then and I chose Coke. They were pissed. Get out of here, kid. Yeah, that's what happens.
Oh my God. Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, I've moved around a lot and had a lot of different addresses, but the perspective is great.
Okay.
Yeah.
So tell me, we're not going to go through all 40 of them.
No,
Um,
definitely no need to.
I'm interested in.
The best and the worst.
See, we didn't prep too much for this.
Good.
And so it's great. But now I'm like, okay, what should we focus on? Because I was not expecting this much. But this is also what makes Sean such a great guest, because it also gives me the flexibility to pick and choose.
We'll get through your list and then
what
you can add in a few singers in there.
So I know about LA.
Mm-hmm.
I know about New York.
Mm-hmm.
I know about St. Lucia.
Yeah.
And do you think you have anything to talk about LA and New York that you like to speak about? Or we can come back to New York. We can come back to New York.
Yeah, I mean, we could always come back to New York.
Yeah.
The main places that I've spent the most amount of time was Barbados, New York, Connecticut, Los Angeles, St. Lucia.
Okay.
Those are like the main ones.
Okay.
I spent shorter stints in other places. I spent a whole year trying to figure out which Caribbean island I was going to live in. So that was from Trinidad to St. Martin to Jamaica to Cayman.
And St. Lucia was his favorite.
And then ended up in St. Lucia and was like, wait a minute. How come y'all didn't tell me about this one? Yeah, this is it here though. Yeah. But also I feel like I walked into St. Lucia at a time where now when I sit back and I look at everything that's happening there, I smile.
Yeah.
I smile because I can see that I walked into a country that has so much amazing talent and so much amazing people that were not getting exposure. Right? That you run into randomly at a crosswalk.
And I would love to talk about that.
Doing a photo shoot, and you're like, wait, what are you doing? And it's like, yeah, so St. Lucia has a special place in my heart, not to mention that my grandmother from there and all the rest of that.
Yeah.
But living in these different places is, perspective, giving me that. There's places I would move back to, and there's places I would never live again. All right? I would never live in Connecticut ever again. I would never live in Los Angeles ever again. Good. Them two places, nah, boy, that ain't for me. And there's very, very unique reasons why, but Los Angeles is like one of the fakest places I've ever come across in my life. Now, I understand you've built a whole town and community and city based upon theater and film. Theatrics.
Yeah.
I understand that.
Yeah.
But everybody gotta be so.
And you went as an actor.
I went as an actor. I was like, I can go and get my Oscar. I can do my thing. I can come over here. And there's a saying, every year 100,000 people move to LA.
Yeah.
After the first year, 10,000 is left. After the next year is 1,000. After the next year is 100. After the next year is 10.
Yeah.
And after that is you.
Yeah.
So when you get down to the 10 phase is when you should start to begin to see some of your successes happening, which is true. I saw it happen just like that, right? But what you tend to also see happen is there's a lot of people who weren't able to succeed in their dream, can't give up on the fact that that didn't happen, move into roles where they control other people's dreams.
And if it didn't happen for me, it's not going to happen for you.
And you see that. And you get within 5 seconds of meeting people, where do you live? What do you drive? What do you do? And there's this filtering of who you are as a human being.
Yeah.
And if you are not on a level that can help me achieve my dream and goal or what I came here to do, I don't need to know you. And that is sad to me. And I was warned about it before I went. And I was like, nah, it can't be really like that.
Yeah.
And then I got there and I experienced the weather and the people. And I said, they lied on the brochure. They lied on the brochure, LA. One thing they didn't lie about is when you go south and you head towards Long Beach, that part ain't fake. That part, not fake. You see Snoop and all of them and all of that going on out there? Yeah, I made the mistake of wanting a Jeep Wrangler because I had a Jeep, a Land Rover Defender in Barbados. So I want this Jeep Wrangler. So I'm out there like looking only at Jeep Wranglers and I'm test driving, not liking, get to one I like, and it's like the blue of Barbados's flag. There we go. We going with this. And then I had to go down into the Long Beach area. And I had to go and see a friend that I was going to do a movie with. And I pull up at his house. And he come outside and see my Jeep. And he was like, yo, get inside now. So I run inside the house. What happened? He's like, bro, yo, this Crips and Blood shit is real out here. I was like, and me still like, what are you talking about? I don't understand. Like, I'm not dressed in anything. He's like, bro, you drove a blue Jeep down that street to come here? And I was like, oh shit. I gotta go home. When we leave, like, oh, this is real? This ain't some movie like Colors shit. No, this is real, bro. Okay, so he's like, so when you leave here, I'm gonna tell you.
This man was just trying to represent his country.
Like just trying to represent Barbados blue,
that's all he was trying to do, innocently, trying to be patriotic.
I went to play football out there, and I was in LA, and it was like a public park. And I was like living near there, and I drove by one day, see the men playing, stop, ask a question. They said they play these days. I come back the next day, got my boots, come out. Men separate teams. We get on the team. All right. I playing, and a man on my team. Game no start. Ball come to us. I clear the ball from the defense, send it forward, because I play defense. I stand up back there. This man turned to me. Yo, fool, what set you from? I said, what? What set you from, fool? I said, I'm from Barbados. And he was like, what? And then the other guy was like, y'all stop this now. I was like, wait, this man want like fight me. I'm on his team. Game no start. You want?
He was thinking about it.
He was. I don't know where his mind was, but I was like, this is the last time in kind of this park though. I ain't trying to come here and dead playing the football. And then eventually I found the Irish and all the other European leagues, and then the Australian men and a couple of the black French fellas, and I was like, right.
Yeah.
Now we could play some ball.
Yeah.
And then I was playing my ball out there, which was good. Yeah. Yeah. So LA, never again.
Understandably so. especially, you know, and this is something that even New York isn't as bad, but this is something that I struggle with sometimes in New York, where it's like everyone, St. Lucia, Barbados, the Caribbean, it's a community.
Mm-hmm.
You know everyone.
Mm-hmm.
You know, even if you don't know everyone, like you've seen them.
Oh yeah.
And they've seen you. And if we're in the same spot, like you're good.
Yeah.
You know, there's someone watching. You don't even have to know the person's name, but you all know each other. You're watching each other's backs. You know, and people, if someone comes up to you and they talk to you, they actually do care about who you are. They'll ask you, who's your mother?
Listen, there's a hilarious story that I was leaving LA to go home. And I was acting, and we were doing this student project at UCLA. And I told the guys, look, I have a flight like this afternoon to go to Barbados. I have to leave here by a certain time. No problem. Call time in the morning. You're going to be done by a certain time. We're there. And like the prop guy forgot something. And we were shooting in a parking lot. So he had to go far to come back to the park. And I'm like, you know, looking at the time. So they came, finish, and I just ran out of there in a suit. Boom. Get to my house. My roommate was like, I'm going to drive you to the airport so my car can stay there. My bag was already packed. So I just ran in, grabbed my bag, got in the car, LAX. Get out LAX. He take off, go inside. Where you going? Barbados. We need your passport. And I don't have my passport. I'm going to Barbados and I don't have my passport. I have my green card because I was in my wallet, and I have my driver's license. And she says, well, you can get back into the United States without a problem, but I don't know what you're going to do when you get to Barbados. I said, nah, I can be good in Barbados.
Yeah.
She said, all right, go ahead. I get on the plane. I land in Barbados. I come to the counter now. I said, yeah, I forget my passport. All right, you got to go in this room behind here. All right, go in the room. So the woman says, so you have anything to identify you, who you are? I said, well, I'm here to play Grantley Adams, the name of this airport. I don't think they will have an actor coming in to play him that is not a Bajan.
Yeah.
But if that isn't enough, here's the program from it, because we did this 3 months ago and I'm back for a special run of it with my picture and name in it here.
Yeah.
Woman says, nah, not good enough. I said, wow, okay. My uncle used to work at an airline here. I mentioned his name. You know him? Nah, don't know him. I said, okay. My parents, Marva and Mike Field. She said, wait, that's the couple that's been in the newspaper dancing all the time? I said, yeah. She said, oh, all right, you good. So I said, yeah, I like this.
That's how it works. You know what I mean? So like it's very strange.
Mm-hmm.
It is very strange being in a place where, like, you know, there is that level of like ingenuineness, you know? It's very strange being in that place.
I came from Barbados to Los Angeles when I moved to LA.
Yeah.
Moved straight from Barbados. The first night I got there, you know, time zone is different. So I'm like, all right. I watching Law and Order late at night, and it was like a marathon on, and I didn't have TV in Barbados at this point, so I was like, oh, there's marathon Law and Order. I like this show, watch it. So the next night, I'm like, okay, Marathon Law and Order again. Across the street from where I was staying is the Burbank Police Department. Next to the Burbank Police Department, there's a highway exit. Next to the highway exit, there's a 7-Eleven. I want to go to 7-Eleven. It's 2:00 in the morning. And you know how Law and Order like gets to like the last like 5 minutes and you know they're going to figure it all out in 5 minutes?
Yeah.
But then the next one is going to come on.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I have enough time to run across the street and buy like a drink and come back before the next one starts.
Yeah.
Out. I run across the street, go inside. I get inside now. I gone down the counter, grab my thing, turn around to come back, and there's a police officer. Excuse me. See ya. He says, you just jaywalk. I said, who? So I played dumb now because I heard of it and I know it, but I was old enough to know that I'm now like 33 years old. I never hear nobody tell me this in my life.
Yeah. Yeah.
What? He said, you just jaywalk. I said, what's jaywalking? Like playing dumb, you know? He says, you can't cross the street against the light. I said, it's 2:00 in the morning. There's no cars anywhere. I'm supposed to stand out there and wait for the light to change? She says, yes. I said, sorry, I'm from Barbados, right? We don't really have, so we just cross where we can, you understand? Right? Like, if you get a chance, go, right? So the man behind his counter was laughing, but he, looking at me like trying to be serious.
Yeah.
And he's like, all right, no, next time, and next time, he walk away and get my drinks. As I go outside. Right back across the street. You feel like you're really gonna stand out here waiting for you? Yeah, okay, buddy. Sorry, not me and that. Jaywalking? Get a ticket for crossing the street?
Yeah.
America.
So let's talk about St. Lucia. So I'm from St. Lucia. If y'all don't know,
I wouldn't know, I can't hear no accent there.
I've kind
Oh, gasto tu no paleo Creole, eh?
We spoke about this in the first. We spoke about this in the first episode. I slip in and out, and it's doing my professional. This has been my professional voice. Being in this environment for so long.
Good. And you've been here what, 4 years? 5 years?
Now,
5 years, and you got the voice that quick. That's good.
Yeah. I watched a lot of American TV.
This is true.
It's much easier for us.
Yeah.
To I was telling Meg in our interview that I have my generic American voice where I just pronounce my R's a little harder,
America.
I also like listening to some country music.
Oh Lord, don't get me started there, boy.
Love me some Randy Travis.
See, accents are my favorite thing.
It's fun.
And when I did the radio and I did voice, I had a whole thing.
Yeah.
And people believe that there was another person in the studio. So when I worked on the radio in Barbados, I had a name, Professor Love, which I wasn't given. But I used to give men advice on different ways to be romantic. Like, oh, your girl is gone away, or coming home from a long day at work or something, you want to do something extra nice, like buy a bag of balloons. They don't cost a lot of money, you cheapskates. Buy a bag of balloons, blow them up. Yes, you're gonna be tired, but when you fill up a room with balloons and she walk in the door, you're gonna have a good night. You're gonna have a good night. Right? Yeah. And it don't take much. It's a bag of balloons, B. Right? Yeah. So like, get some flowers and don't just put them there when she come in. Get some flowers, take off the petals, put a trail from the door to the bathtub, if you got a bathtub, run some hot water there upon it, put some bubbles in there, put some rose petals in there. I'm just saying, the roses, you can stick them in the water or you could do that. You can have a much better night one way or the other. Right? So as Professor Love, I gave this kind of commentary, but then sometimes I would do a sidekick to Professor Love, and I would do this guy named Sean Wan.
Okay.
And Sean Wan is going in the studio today to talk to you. How are you doing today, Sean? I'm doing good, yeah. Sean, you need to calm down sometimes, though, because you're just getting here with this energy. Of course I come in with the energy. You understand? This is how I have to be when Sean Wan is on the radio. So, like, I love doing accents and doing stuff like that. If you're listening to the radio, you might think that's two completely different people in the radio.
Yeah.
And I'm just there talking to myself.
Yeah.
And I think talking to myself is where it started. So I just found, like I just told you about my friend Tori is in the commercial. We did a film together called Two Brits and Some Mexican Cowboys.
Okay.
And I just found the trailer last night. Hilarious. But it's like a lock, stock, and two smoking barrels kind of comedy type thing where we come to America, you know, British non-gangsters, just two normal guys trying to get through in America. And one of the guys finds a car. And he's like, great, we got a car. And it turns out to be a police car with a bunch of guns in the back of it. And he's like, wait, how'd you get this? He's like, I borrowed it. And he's like, you borrowed it? The keys weren't it. I just drove it away. And so they try to sell the guns to some Mexican gangsters, and it's a hilarious comedy, but never came out. So I saw the trailer, and I played a Brit in that. And true story, walked into the audition with a British accent.
Yeah.
Told him that I was from London.
Yeah.
Told him I was from Lewisham specifically.
Yeah.
Kept going with my British accent the entire time I was in there with you, mate. Yeah, what are you talking about, eh? So like the more I kept talking to the man kept believing I was from London. And I'm sitting in this audition the entire time, like, what do you want me to do? And then we just started going down the road. Next thing you know, I get the part. And I shoot the whole film with the London accent and don't tell them anything until we're done. And they were like, yo. Yeah, I just love doing them. Being named after Sean Connery.
Yeah.
That's another one that I had to work on for a while to make sure that I could perfect the sound of Sean Connery because he speaks with this very specific accent and his very specific lisp. So I would have fun with accents. So yeah, that's a thing. So going to Lucia and getting to like now reconnect with my grandmother roots.
Yes.
And some of this Palais Creole and Gassa, that's the one accent that I can't quite get there so good, you know.
You still have too much
Chinny going on inside there. Is my Chinny breaking into my Lucian and then there's all kind of problem and all kind of thing there. But funny enough, when I land in Barbados, if I talk with other accents, they swear I'm from that island. They don't even think Barbados. I'll land in Barbados and talk with a different Caribbean accent and they will swear I'm from that island. I'm like, wow, but no, I'm from here.
Yeah.
Funny. Yeah.
So yeah, I'm from St. Lucia, if you didn't know.
And I'm a global citizen.
and Sean is a global citizen. But Sean and I first met in St. Lucia when I still lived there. And I was doing a photo shoot for a brilliant up-and-coming St. Lucian musician, rapper called Smalls. I'm trying to get him on the podcast.
Oh, that would be so dope.
So stay tuned.
Smalls. You gotta big out Smalls. You gotta big out all Illusion artists. Though.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's mandatory.
Yeah.
Because I had some fun there. I got to shoot some music videos for some of us. Like KO, my brother, Aisha. Like there's some great
KO is
artists.
supposed to be on the podcast too at some
Dope.
point. He's already agreed to it.
Dope.
So yeah.
Dope. I was just looking at Bayfest stuff too and seeing Rob Zai and different people there.
We're getting into that, Sean. Stop spoiling.
Sorry. My heart does bleed, Lucia, you know.
So I'm doing this shoot. And Sean tells this story better, and I'll chime in when I need to. So I'm doing this shoot because you have to get it from both angles,
right?
And you know, when there's two malls, and there's a crosswalk between the two malls.
Don't ask why there's two malls across the street
from each other. But I'm doing this like Beatles, Abbey Road, kind of thing, with Smalls. Playing around with my little camera tricks, my tripod and everything, you know, that kind of thing. And this guy's just standing there, you know, observing what's going on. Waits for, you know, the right time, walks up and he says, you know, see what you're doing, you know, and introduced himself.
Yeah.
Said he's a filmmaker. He's been staying here for some time. He's from Barbados, you know, gave me his card. Says, hit me up. We should, you know, collaborate, do some work together. I hit you up.
I hit you up. Me once.
I did
not.
I swear that I emailed him. I went to his website, saw the things, said this guy's cool. Love
And
the
they
yellow. I knew all the, like I saw all that the site was yellow and stuff. I sent him an email. Never heard back from him. Guess he was too busy for me. Little small time photographer.
This is how it be, coming on the man show,
What I say.
His show. When he come on my show, though, the truth can come out.
But anyway,
Mhm.
forgot this happened eventually, and I think it might have been a year later.
Let me tell you. I will tell
So
you
this was-
exactly how long later it was. So
When we started working together was like 2014, right? Or
yes.
2013.
So this would have been November of 2012.
Okay.
Because in November of 2012, I was at Barbados Food and Run that had just happened, and my friend Scott was there as chef, and he had a friend in from St. Lucia, and he saw my then girlfriend and was like, "Oh, I know you from TV, and you guys should come to St. Lucia." And I was like, I went like a few years ago. And yeah, let's go. So we ended up in St. Lucia for 2 weeks, and we had a travel show that we were doing at the time. So we said, we could do a couple of episodes of this travel show while we're there. And yeah, while I was walking, trying to understand why there was a mall across the street from another mall, separated by only a crosswalk, one big massive mall and another 2-story mall. Still don't know why. I see this young man.
You weren't with her that day, though.
No, I was by myself. I
Yeah.
had gone to get some coconut water or something from the hotel we were at.
Yeah.
Shout out Coco Palm. And then I was like, "Oh, this looks interesting. I recognize the Abbey Road vibe. Let me
Yeah.
talk to this guy." So gave him my card that he never sent an email to. And then I left St. Lucia. Ended up coming back about a month and a half later to stay for 3 months. And that was 2013. Ended up staying in and out of 2013 a lot. Was doing a lot of traveling, so couldn't quite stay. The 3 months didn't even turn into 3 months. I was there for like 4 weeks and had to leave. So by now, August of 2014, a friend of mine from here in New York was doing a film festival in St. Lucia, the inaugural Piton Film Festival.
Okay.
And she said, "Hey, I know you're a filmmaker, and I know that you're in St. Lucia, and I know you have a film. Can I put it in this festival?" And I said, "Sure." And I hung up the phone from her, and I said, "I wonder if I can make a film between today, Monday, and next week, Friday, when she has that festival." So I called my good friend, Jason Jeffers Fitzroy, and I was like, "Oh, you think this is possible? Here's what I have access to. I know a guy with a boat, and I know this. And, I don't know much on island,
Yeah.
And he was like, "Go for it." So that night I wrote the script. He said, "Well, what about a sukuyan?" And I was like, "Well, like a baku, like a duppy kind of thing." And he was like, "Yeah." I said, "I need to go and read more about it."
Caribbean spiritual.
Yeah, like vampire-y, folklore, ghost story
Yeah.
type of thing for people who are looking to assimilate it. And I went and wrote the script that night. The next day now, I'm like, okay, I need to figure out how I'm going to do this. Now, I'd seen this guy at the beach the Saturday before that, and he was shooting a music video, Logo.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, okay, this guy is looking like kind of creative. So I reached out to him and I was like, "Hey, I'm doing a movie. You want to be involved?" And he's like, "Sure." And then I reached out to a friend of mine who was in real estate and another friend who was in real estate, Matthew, big ups. And I was like, "Y'all want to be producers? I'll teach you." And they were like, "Oh, okay, we don't know anything about doing a movie." And Logo was like, "I have a car." So I said, "Well, there's a spot that I went to, and it's like in Rodney Bay, and you got to go through this like path, and you go up on this hill." I went on the Segway. I said, "We should go and scout this because I wrote the opening scene to happen there."
This spot is in the bush on the side of a mountain.
Yeah. The only way that we had gotten there was on a Segway. Like
Yeah.
it's a bush.
Yeah.
So this man says he's going to drive his car in there, Logo.
Yeah.
And I'm like, "You gonna drive your car inside of there? Like, you mad?" All right, cool. So here we are driving through the bush, and all of a sudden I see this girl, and I see this man, and I see a big flash, and I see I'm like, wait, they're doing a photo shoot in the middle of the woods? In the middle of this path? And so the guy driving, Logo, pulls up, and he's like, "Yo, Johnny," and he jump out the car, and he starts talking to
Johnny.
who's standing up there doing a photo shoot. And I was like, "Wow, okay." But then I'm like, wait, I know the girl, Kimya.
Yeah.
I saw her at this carnival thing like a couple of weeks before, and
Yeah.
I went up and we spoke. So yeah, y'all want to be in this movie that I dealing with? Like, we're gonna go and scout the thing, and like,
Yeah.
he was like, "Oh, okay, doing what?" I was like, "Well, you take photos, right?" "Yeah, all right, I need somebody to take some photos." I was like, "You act?" She was like, "Well, I could." "All right, fine, you
Yeah.
acting, let's go." And
You didn't believe that I would come though.
Right, because he didn't email me. So that's why I didn't believe he would come. Right?
I told him I worked full time at a bank at that point in time. At that point in time, 7:45 to 4:15 p.m.
Yes.
And he was shooting during the week.
Yes.
So I said, I'm working. I'll come after work.
Right. Yeah.
You know,
And I was like, yeah,
I'm like, but
we'll
it
see.
was cool. I knew logo.
Yeah.
You were cool too. I'm like, why not check this thing out?
And then he saw my then girlfriend as well,
Yeah.
who was very popular. So he was like, hey, yeah, I'll come.
He's right. He's right. No, context. His girlfriend at the time was like probably the biggest
Yes.
Caribbean entertainment media personality.
Yeah. And you got to give her flowers
at
too.
the
Big
ti-
up to Janelle because
Janelle, pioneer, amazing. Used to watch her every day on TV, and now this person who is a Caribbean celebrity, you know, is standing in front of me, you know, and I get an invitation to see her again. Of course,
he's like, yeah, I'll do it. Sure. It's like, wow, should have brought her the first time. Maybe he might have emailed me back.
Oh my God.
But yeah, then we went and made a movie.
Yeah.
I had like a casting the Saturday. So that was what, the Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. I was like location scouting, figuring out what we could do. Saturday, let's hold a casting. 2 people showed up. I needed one.
Yeah.
You got the role.
Yeah.
Like, all right, let's go. And then Sunday night, I remember Saturday night, we went to cast. I still hadn't found my lead and I wasn't happy with what I saw.
Mhm.
And I knew Aisha.
Yeah.
And I thought, she came by and her hair was always up in like a bun kind of thing. And I was like, what happens if you take your hair out? And she was reading and I had her take her hair out. And I was like, oh, you can play both roles. You can play the girl and the bad guy. Like you can do both if I just change up your makeup and your look and stuff. So yeah. And I got argued with against that. No, that can't be. It's not. We need another person as, no, you know what? Let's just try it. Sunday night, midnight, Lago House, we started filming.
Yeah.
And we filmed Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Had a little bit of rain snafu one night, lost Kimya. Really wish I had her because the one scene missing in my film is because of that night in the rain. Anyhow, we also had an incident where we had a card situation. Now, this will show you, I don't know if you noticed. You know about the card and losing the footage?
I vaguely remember something.
So
like
I was
that.
shooting on a Sony FS700.
Remember that camera very well.
And it had an Odyssey 7Q attached to it, which allowed it to get its full raw capabilities. Excellent camera. And so I had SSDs, but I had to like every day we finished shooting, come home and dump.
Yes.
And I had a hard drive that was there just for dumping for the film.
Yes.
And by the time we finished, it was so late, I was exhausted. I come home, I dump, and I go to sleep. So I left the car dumping, went to sleep, wake up the next morning, looked at the drive, saw files, was like, I'm good. Let's go. Wipe the card, shoot the next day. And now we're shooting the big, like, arrest scene and the, you know, police truck, which another great story with the police truck. I needed a police truck. So I had back home, we have like, the equivalent of like a F-150 kind of a thing is sometimes was like a police truck, a police car. And a friend of mine had a white one just like the police one. So I said, well, what I'll do is I'll put his car there. And I had already taken the picture of the back of a police car. And now I'm going to do some special effects onto his car to just get the police thing. If I just keep the camera on a tripod and shoot the scene like this, I'm good. And just as we're lined up to shoot this scene, the real police drive by. What y'all doing in the middle of the street? We're making a movie. But wait a minute. Can I use this truck? Y'all want to be in a movie real quick? We got to arrest this guy. And they were like plainclothes police. So they were like, sure, let's go. Tell my friend, move your truck, move your truck. He moved his truck out, put the police truck in. We got the arrest scene done. Everything was great. Get home. Yeah. The footage that I had copied. Actually, no, it's that day's footage. So I get home, copy that. It was the next day. So when I go and check, none of that footage had copied from my
the police stuff.
The police stuff. None of it had copied, and I actually cried. I cried real tears sitting down going, there's no way that I just ruined all of these people's work.
Yeah.
That was my first thing that I said.
Yeah.
I said, I have all of these people, the police, like I can't, the people in the neighborhood, like so many things came together to make that moment
Yes.
a reality.
Yes.
I can't redo it. I disappointed all those people. And that's what I was crying about. But the FS700 has an SSD port. An SD slot.
Uh-huh.
And the Odyssey has the SSDs. So I'm filming on the SSDs. But I always have dual capture on. So I'm shooting the film in 4K RAW, but there's a 1080 of everything that's also being shot on
the
my SD card. And I eject that and I put that in and I have everything. It's just lower quality. You think that made a difference? I was like, let me go. You know how much people have watched that film and have no idea that there's a whole scene section
I had no
that
idea.
is not 4K.
But I do want to go back to the losing these people's work part. This was a community effort. This was a community effort. Everyone volunteered.
No one got paid
to help.
There was no money.
Yeah.
Like I spent $1,500 US to make that film.
Yeah.
Right. And the one thing I made sure I was doing, like, everybody's going to be fed. I got to rent a car. I've got to spend the money where I've got to spend the money. There's things I can't avoid. But talent and crew and people and the bar and Irie Bar and, you know, what I also find that's amazing about that is, like, you know, teaching my sound guy how to do sound, you know, teaching, you know, with Lago, walking him through how to get certain shots.
Yeah.
There's this behind the scenes video of where we rehearsed. There's a slow push-in scene with a fight that we wanted to do, and so they have to cross. And Lago and I, and one, these are the steps. And one is here, 2 is there, 3 is there, and like we're out there in the morning, 5 o'clock in the morning. We're at his house at midnight because we want to do this. This is our passion. This is our joy. And to enter that film's trailer into the Vimeo trailer of the week and winning Vimeo trailer of the week was huge.
Yeah.
Entering it into the Aruba Film Festival, getting to go to Aruba. The first night that I'm there walking down the red carpet, I see Virginia Madsen, who I've loved since her movie Fire with Fire when I was like 13. So I go up to her and I tell her, hey, I'm a big fan, you know, and I tell her why. And she's like, oh, you must be a big fan.
Yeah.
And I said, yeah. She's like, well, why are you here? And I said, my film is in this. She's like, what one is yours? And I said, Sukuyon. She said, you did Sukuyon? And I said, yeah. She said, come sit with me tonight. And so she brought Janelle and I with her boyfriend and her, and we sat in the reserved row for the opening night of the film, sitting next to her. And then Tyrese comes and sits next to me, and I'm like, what is going on right now? And I said, did you see the film? She said, yeah, of course I saw your film. Virginia Madsen took us to a bar, Charlie's Bar, I got wasted on snake rum. If somebody ever offers you snake rum, say no. Because the snake is blind. First of all, the man behind the counter gonna say, we don't have snake rum. Yesterday I texted a friend who works for Red Bull, and he's like, oh, and I'm like, oh, you're in Aruba? He's like, yeah. I said, go to St. Nicholas and go to Charlie's Bar. He's like, actually, I'm on my way there now. I said, ask them for the snake rum. He texts me back, they said they don't have snake rum. Yeah, they do. And then he texts me back, oh, they do. I said, yeah.
Are you outing this man?
No. Everybody will go and drink the snake rum. He just tells you no because he doesn't want the regular tourist kind of thing to come and have the snake rum. So no, you can't have it.
Yeah.
And then it's Virginia Madsen. She's been, you know, she's a celebrity kind of thing. He's going to give it to her. We have a picture of it. I mean, maybe doing one is okay. Don't do what Virginia Madsen's her brother's Michael Madsen. If you saw Kill Bill, he's in that. There's a certain kind of going on, right? This woman drinking with me and like putting down, and we did 3 of those snake rum shots amongst other drinks that night. And the next day I had to sit on a panel and talk in the morning first thing. Shout out to Angel Manuel Soto, Blue Beetle director. He and I did that panel with 2 other great filmmakers. Alain Bedard from Martinique does anime, great animator. So we finished that, and I just make a beeline for the toilet. I'm puking. I'm like, oh my God, this is terrible. I'm sweating. I come out the bathroom and in walks Virginia Madsen floating. What's wrong with you? I was like, what's wrong with me? How are you perfectly fine?
Yeah.
Like, we drank the same thing.
Yeah.
What are you made of?
Yeah.
But I had a great time with her there. And the fact that the film then ended up, she's the person who stood up on the bar at when they were giving the awards at the hotel, and she stood up on the bar to give the award for jury prize to Sukuyan because they didn't have a category for best short.
Mm-hmm.
And so best film went to another great filmmaker from Denmark, and she did a documentary. And so Virginia Madsen got up and said, I didn't think it fair that there wasn't a best short category because this film deserves to win. So we're giving it jury prize. And I won. And I was like, wow, look at this community effort. People with no money and incentive of money behind it, just wanting to do something, tell a Caribbean story, turning into a victory for all of us.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that was great. And I also got one other award for it, which is still in my house and is very dear to me. There's a man in St. Lucia on the street, and he takes a little string of like aluminum and he makes different ornaments, different things. He'll make you a flower, he'll make you whatever. He was watching us film, and he was watching me work with the tripod and the camera, and he made a man with a tripod standing up.
Yeah.
And he gave that to me. And I consider that my Grosile Award for this film. So that sits at my house. I'm very proud of that. And that film, because in that film also did other things. Immediately I got phone calls from around the region. People asking how I shot it.
Yeah.
What that I used to shoot it, what cameras, what there was like all of this.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, I edited the film in a hotel in Haiti on my laptop. Dude, there's a special effects in there. I did all that on my laptop in a hotel in Haiti with the electricity going out every single day.
Yeah.
While shooting, 4 weeks in Haiti.
Yeah.
Having just come from Trinidad, shooting 2 weeks in there. So it's like I finished the film, went to Trinidad, went to Haiti, went to Miami.
Yeah.
And just filming. Oh, I got to edit this film while I'm on the way there.
Yeah.
And then that's where the transformation to the beard happened. Yeah, I didn't have a beard before that.
That's true. That is true.
Because when I went to Haiti, the things that I saw changed me as a person.
Okay.
And
are you okay with sharing?
Oh, yeah. I think I'll start from when I landed at Fort Lauderdale Airport. Janelle had a 3-hour wait because the airport was under construction, and everybody who's not U.S. had to wait. It was just that section of the airport you had to wait. So we had 12 bags of equipment that I carried out in 2 carts by myself, and now I'm sitting outside waiting for her to come out. That day when I collect walking sticks, as you know, and I went into town to collect one, and as we were driving down the street, there's people selling goods on either side of the street and in the middle of the street, and the car had to like drive over people selling goods. I'm feeling terrible. My friend from Haiti's like, don't worry. And so we have to drive like 2 miles an hour down the street, and we get to the end, and we're going to turn left, and you hear zoom, zoom, pow, zoom, zoom, and there's a shootout, and there's bullets whizzing by our car, and then all of a sudden there's hundreds of people running. The car is shaking, and we're just ducked down in the car going, okay, God, I hope we don't die.
Yeah.
And you could hear the people running by, the bullets getting closer, the gunshots, and then it stops. And then we backed up and got out of there as fast as possible. So that was the day I was leaving Haiti. Now I get to the airport. There's a 3-hour wait. I'm sitting outside comfortable. And I'm listening to, and I'm sorry to say it, but I'm listening to privileged Americans coming out of the airport saying, this is the worst experience of my life. I had to wait 3 hours to get my luggage. Can you believe how terrible this is? And it was just one person after the next. And I was like, I was in a shootout today in a Caribbean country trying to buy a walking stick.
Mm-hmm.
And you're upset. Obviously, you don't know the context of my life and what I went through.
Yeah.
But a 3-hour wait has got you behaving the way that you behave.
Yeah.
Now, back it up to being in Haiti and seeing a woman washing her clothes in a pothole in the muddy water and dancing while doing it. Seeing dead babies in a gully. Because some people have babies and they're born and they can't do anything and they just throw them in there and they're dead. And that's life. Seeing the hotel that we're at have very heavily armed men at the front. And when we would leave and come out, 9-year-old kids begging.
Yeah.
Going up the hill to another hotel, and there's the amount of security is unbelievable at these places. And I'd been to Haiti before, but on a cruise where they take you to the special spot.
Yeah.
And I don't eat meat, haven't eaten meat in 26 years. And on that cruise, that special spot, they had nothing for vegetarians.
Yeah.
So it was chicken, hot dogs, and hamburgers. And there's nothing but Haitian people working there on the beach, selling goods, working on the beach or whatever. And I said to them, do you guys get to eat the food? And they said, no. I said, well, who's the food for? They said, for the people off the cruise. I said, you mean to tell me all these thousands of people get to come off and eat all this food all day and y'all get nothing? I'll be right back. And I walked in and I piled 2 plates high, hamburgers, hot dogs, chicken. And now I'm walking out and the people are going, hey, sir, you can't go out there with that food. I said, why not? I'm on the cruise, right? Yes. I said, then I'm allowed this food, am I not? Yes, good. Then I can do with it what I please. And I walked out and I fed everyone that was there. And they were very, obviously receptive and happy. But I was upset because you come to the country on a cruise and this is the part they show you.
Yeah.
Because they don't want you to see those other parts, which is fine. And this was post the earthquake that I went and pre-earthquake, which I understand there's a very big difference. But when you study the significant historical aspects of what Haiti's been through and how France terrorized and tore that country down, and it's the first of us to be freed from slavery in our region, and for the state that it is in today, knowing that the amount of countries in the Middle East, one in particular that are dealing with a certain situation right now, that was there providing arms and ammunition to the worst people who were in charge in Haiti at the time. Like when you study the influence that outside people have had to tear that place down, to destroy a set of people who are so strong because they were able to defeat you. Yeah. To go there, you need to go and see it. You need to go and see it with your own eyes. You need to go and experience it. You need to go and live it. You need to go see what voodoo is about if you're afraid of it. Yeah. Because then we went to the Voodoo Man house, and let me tell you, that was an experience. It will jump you. Yeah. Right? It will jump you if you are in that kind of zone. Yeah. But also going to the town of Nuai, where there's no at the time paved roads. So it's just dirt and dust. And they have a thing called a tap, and everybody's hanging on to the side and wearing, their face covered from the dust. And that's normal. But what they're also doing in Nuai that I saw that was amazing is they're taking wrought iron and they're banging it out by hand and then making new art sitting under a tree. Yeah. I said, well, then they could make these things, can't they? Yeah. Right? Why can't Haiti manufacture metal? If they can bang that out by hand, we could put a manufacturing plant there of metal and hire thousands of people tomorrow. Yeah. But it ain't being done. Right. And that kind of beauty in that country is unbelievable. So we went to, they have a big, huge film and music studio there. So we went there and we shot there and we got to learn about Jacques Mel and how Jacques Mel helped Venezuela become independent. Yes. The ships that sailed from Jacques Mel straight to Venezuela. Like the history isn't taught in history books in the US or for most people to know, oh, that's how Venezuela got their freedom because of Haiti. Yeah. But you don't talk about this. So then when you talk about Haiti, people only think voodoo and poor. Yeah. And that's the narrative they want you to
voodoo,
keep.
Poor, earthquake.
Voodoo, poor, earthquake. Yeah. You think of Ethiopia, they want you to think of poor. Yeah. They always want you to think of, oh, the famine kids from Ethiopia. They don't want you to know about Selassie. Yeah. They want you to know about Falashes, and we can talk about the Falashes, right? The black Jews. They don't want you to know about the Ethiopian Orthodox Church, the rich history, the soil that's so fertile. Yeah. They just want you to think famine. Yeah. And so narrative is important. Same thing with us being from where we're from, right? Yeah. For me, Barbados before was a place in Jamaica. Now, because of Rihanna, Barbados is its own place, right? Yeah. But up until Rihanna, I say, oh, yeah, I'm from Barbados. And a man looked me in my face in LA and asked me, what part of Jamaica is that? And so with a straight face, I said, well, you leave Montego Bay and you head towards Kingston. And when you get to Kingston, you're going to take a left. Now you're going to keep driving straight. At that point, when you reach Antigua, you're going to turn right. Now, this is the next set of a straightaway that you have to take, and you have to be very careful. You're going all the way down this straightaway. When you reach St. Vincent, you want to turn left. If you hit Trinidad, you've gone too far. Now, our West Indian people love this. But if you don't know geography and you think it's in Jamaica, I want to see you try and find this place. And the man looked at me, oh, wow, thank you so much. Yeah. And I was like, wow, where did you go to school?
Yeah.
What books have you ever read? Unbelievable.
Yeah.
I still, to this day, at certain times would like go to places and meet American people and say, can you name the 50 states? And give them a pen and paper and sit down next to them with a pen and paper. I can name more states than people born and raised here.
Yeah.
And it's because we had to come here and we had to learn more about the culture here than the people here had to learn about it. I had to know your history to pass your test.
Mm-hmm.
And coming from a West Indian household, I couldn't come home with nothing but an A.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. So you need to know.
I had to know it. Not just know it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So it behooves me then to like sit down and see people walking out of an airport bitching and moaning about the time they had when I've been to Haiti to see what life is like there.
Yeah.
And I haven't been everywhere in the world to see what life is like everywhere. But the places that I've been, I have a good perspective of understanding. Landing at the airport in London and seeing how they treat the black people. How there's a gate there and you open the gate and there's like some seats there and the people are being deported or sent right back. They just arrived. But everybody sitting there was black and wearing authentically like Nigerian African print gear. And I am a tall man at that point standing in this line, and I happen to have on a cowboy hat. Who tell me to wear that to London first time? I don't know. But now, of course, you come here. We got to talk. So what are you here for? How long are you here for? Hey, I'm coming here to see my friend for 4 days. He's a musician. Oh, so you're here to perform? Who tell you I was a musician? I said, my friend is a musician. I'm here to see him. Oh, so you're here to work on music? No, I'm not here to work on anything. I'm here because if you're here to work, you know, you have to have a visa and a permit to allow you in the country and blah, blah, blah. I was like, big man, when y'all land in Barbados, when I don't get them questions, yes, come and say, I'm here for vacation. Stamp, go on about your business. But one of us will come and want to carry away with country and all kind of things.
Ask you 50 questions. Yeah.
It's an interesting thing because I think about it from the perspective of the slave master that enslaved us, that we had to fight against to get freedom from, now comes to our island to vacation.
Yeah.
And we have to smile and okay with this.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow. And I know it's not the exact same person. But I also know that the families of, and that's why there's a $24 billion with a B dollar need for reparations just for Barbados alone, let alone the other countries.
Yeah.
When you think about the families that were enriched, you know, I say it all the time. There's a Frigidaire, there's a Kenmore, there's these appliances that have the names and the last names of people.
Yeah.
We don't have that.
Yeah.
We can't point to that. We can't point to a Suzuki or a Yamaha or a Honda. And those are just from Japan, right? We can't point to the television names or the appliances names, or we can't point to...
We don't know what our names were.
Exactly.
We don't know what our names were.
When I see that...
Our names are someone else's name.
My last name is Field. What do you think my ancestors were doing? They weren't in the house. I can tell you that. They were not in the house. I gave you one guess where they were, right? So it's like, when you call me Shawn Michael Field, I'm like, big man, on paper, my name is so white.
Yeah.
Shawn Michael Field.
Yeah.
If I were to put on the most, like, I've gotten away with it.
Yeah.
Hello, good day. This is Shawn Michael Field calling. I'll be there to pick up the Mercedes at 3 p.m. Oh, what color would you like, sir? Because there's no questions asked when you hear that. And then I come walking in the door, dreadlock, Rastaman, and it's like, oh, sorry, Mercedes? We don't have it. Right. And I've done that, and that has actually happened at a car dealership. I went in and they suddenly didn't have any more. The next day?
Yeah.
But yesterday, Shawn Michael Field on the phone, that sounded like this. You were ready to bend over backwards to give him whatever he wanted.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. And I purposely walked in there with my hair in a tam, right? My Selassie pin on.
Yeah.
My wearing my ice gold and green. Like, I want you to know is a Rastaman walking in here that
Yeah.
you're seeing.
Yeah.
To see how you're going to treat me.
Yeah.
To know that what I did yesterday in the form proves my point.
Yeah. So, Sean, you have so many stories.
Yes, I do.
So many stories.
We?
But I am very interested in your storytelling. Film specifically.
Yes, my love.
And we spoke briefly about another film, Sukuyan. But another film that I'm familiar with, I didn't work on, but I know very well, is your film Egress.
Yes.
And so the synopsis is did you direct it as well?
No, I did not. Michael Gooden, big ups to him. He directed it. Christina Voros, big ups to her. She shot it. And I wrote, produced, and acted.
Okay.
And then edited.
And Sean had the lead role.
Oh yeah, I forgot that part.
Yes. Sean acted in it. So
acted as a lead role in that. That film, you want to know where it started from, or?
Well,
me.
I would love to, but just to give context about why we're talking about this film.
Okay.
I don't know if you guys have got it, but like this is called the Not Your Culture podcast, and the first letters of each of these words spells out NYC.
I want confetti, man. You need a confetti button.
And although a lot of my conversations throughout this podcast are centered around people around the world, my grounding is my New York experience. And the book that I'm writing, also the same title, is grounded around my experience in New York. And there's so many things I've experienced. There's so many things that I've seen that, I discuss and I talk about as part of the culture shock of living in a different place. Something that it's one of the first things that you notice when you move here is the situation of the homeless in New York. The homeless, the mental health crisis, it's bad. There's just so many people who have come to this city who it's a very difficult place to live. It's very expensive. It is very cold sometimes.
Like today.
And I'm not even just talking physically, it's also socially cold in some as well.
It's gotten more socially cold, I think. The city before 9/11 was a different place. And since 9/11 it has changed drastically. There's a tension that wasn't there before. And that adds to some of the coldness.
Okay.
Right? Before 9/11, there wasn't that tension at all. So it was very loose. Hey, I'm walking here. There was a cool factor of New York.
Yeah.
Right. When I got here at first, Broadway and Times Square was crazy. It was like my parents were like, you ain't going nowhere near there.
Yeah.
Because it was just, strip clubs and peep shows and all that kind of stuff. And then it had a transformation, late 80s kind of thing into the 90s, and you started seeing a little bit more tourism and that kind of stuff happening. And then, September 11th happened, and then everything changed.
Yeah, yeah.
But New York homelessness really struck me right away as well.
Yeah.
Because I always say back home, seeing a homeless person in Barbados, there's one thing I know. He can find food.
Yeah.
There's a tree he could climb. There's a way to get food.
Yeah.
Somebody can get something.
There are people who give you the rest of their meal.
There's a standpipe where you can go and get water.
Yeah.
You can bathe. You can. There's ways to take care of yourself.
It's also that people know you.
People might know you too, right?
Yeah.
And then we have like unique characters in Barbados. We have Gearbox, all right? Like Gearbox, big ups to Gearbox. If you're from Barbados and you know a Gearbox, you know what I'm talking about. This man will walk down the street in his underwear, Speedos, high fashion. Don't get it twisted. And this man will hit you with a walking by you. Like Gearbox is, you gotta love Gearbox. So You also got a little bit of entertainment out of the characters that you knew, right? And they were there. Coming here, my first reality was, what happened? What are they gonna do when they get cold? Because we don't have that change in weather. He ain't got no trees out here to go and climb to get a cherry or to get an apple
or a mango.
Yeah. Then the standpipes are the only place where he can just go and bathe and shower outdoor and indecent disposal, all these things.
Yeah.
So I immediately was intrigued by this. And at the time that I wrote the film, 2011, 10, social media was now ramping off, right? Really ramping off. Twitter had been out, Facebook had been out, you know, the MySpace is dying out, and we were like now starting to really see into social media.
Yeah.
And I thought, what happens if you became homeless now and you didn't have access to your email and a phone and computer? How would you assimilate? How would you deal with today's world? How would you communicate? What would you do? And so I wrote this story of a guy who was homeless and, you know, came to New York to try to make it and didn't make it and ended up on the streets and still trying to pursue his dream. And in the process of doing that, you know, he meets people where he's got to beg them for something. And then what I wanted to do was play on stereotypes because New York is a melting pot, right? And the city has a lot of different people. And so you have automatic stereotypes built into you when you either first move here or, you know, you don't know much about here. And those stereotypes come in a variety of ways. So I had him come across very specific people, and I wanted you to see what your stereotypes were like in watching the film and what you thought that person might be to him.
Yeah.
And whether or not it was true to your stereotype or different to your stereotype, that's something that I wanted to evoke in the film.
Yeah.
It took me 20 minutes to write the outline. I knew it was there. I always start every film by writing an outline. So it took 20 minutes to write the outline. And then from the outline, script was done in no time. And then, you know, started to work on getting it out there. I had a friend that took me to an event here in New York to see a bad B movie that taught me how the industry worked, which got me into following relativity media and really understanding the business side of it. She had introduced me to another guy, Larry, my producer. If you don't know Larry Osei Mensah, go look him up, art curator extraordinaire. So I was like, hey, have you ever made a film? He's like, no, you want to make one? Sure, let's go. And, you know, we did a Kickstarter, and then we went to the Bowery Mission. We said, we want to work with you guys in really understanding a little bit more about homelessness and how it affects people. And the first thing I learned is that no two people's story is the same. And, you know, most people think this is drugs, and it's not always, by any stretch of the imagination, always drugs.
Yeah.
The Bowery Mission man that I met and had the chance to work with, who was in charge, was once homeless, worked his way through the system, and is now in charge over there. Well, I don't know if he is now, but at the time. Then he was like, wait, you're from Barbados? Yeah. And he brought me in the kitchen, and the head chef was from Barbados, which was a fun thing to see. So one of the things I did in the film, for example, is I wore a bright yellow jacket. And I remember the director was like, oh, I don't know, I'm not sure about that choice. And we did a scene in Grand Central. And when I was editing, you know, I could hear him talking, and he was like, wow, it's so easy to find him in the shot.
Yeah.
He's like, good thing he wore the yellow.
Yeah.
But the reason that I wore it was because, and some people had brought this up when they saw the film, like, oh, his teeth look too clean, or he looks, I said, when you go and you see homeless people in New York, there are some who are one way, there are some who are another. They get an opportunity at the Bowery Mission when I was there, and what I witnessed is people donate Jordans.
Yeah.
They donate the best of clothes.
Yeah.
High fashion stuff, you know. And now there's a homeless guy outside in a pair of Jordans. Now, is he going to wear them, or is he going to go sell them to get whatever? You don't know who's picking up whatever.
Yeah.
But you might see a homeless guy in a pair of Jordans.
Yeah.
Don't be surprised, right? People will donate that to them. So the yellow jacket kind of was a symbolic thing for me to do. And we froze making that film because we did it in February. And I don't know, I've told the story once or twice, but in order to play the character, I decided to sleep on the streets. And I took a Metro card and I got in my full costume that I was wearing for him, and I stepped outside, no gloves, freezing February. And I started to walk from, I was at my friend's house, and he lived in the city, all the way up. And I started to walk down. And the first garbage can that I passed, there was like a glove with like cut fingers sitting on the top of it. And I grabbed that. There's just one glove. I'm like, all right, I got a glove with some cut fingers. At least something is warm on my hand.
Yeah.
And then where they do the newspapers and they tie them up, that was like somebody had cut it and it was there, and there was some cardboard there, and there was like a pencil. So I grabbed the pencil and I had no point, and I sharpened it on the sidewalk, and then I wrote the homeless please help sign on the cardboard, and then I punched a hole in it, and I took the newspaper thing and I put that around me, and I made it right there on the street. And I walked 30 blocks, 3 different train stops before somebody would swipe me in. The MTA employees I begged wouldn't swipe me in. And I wasn't trying to climb over because my character had a certain walk and stuff. And I was begging people, it's late at night, and we're holding the door. Finally, 30 blocks later, somebody swiped me in. I got in, got on the train, went down to like 42nd to kind of see where maybe some other homeless people were. Didn't really see anyone. Found like a construction that was happening. And they had like their scaffolding with a little bit of like the flappy thing. And there was like some cardboard there. So I just like pulled a big piece of cardboard behind it and lay down and went to sleep.
Yeah.
You don't sleep very long on the street in February. You sleep 5-10 minutes at a time because you hear people walking by.
Yeah.
Are they going to kick me? Are they going to do something to me?
Yeah.
You don't know. It's freezing cold. Cardboard ain't doing nothing. Nothing. There's no heat conduit at all happening there. And after I don't know how long, I was like, I don't know, where am I going to go? I don't think I should just lay. I should probably just keep moving because it was so cold.
Yeah.
And walked in around the corner, and there was a McDonald's there. And I stepped inside to get warm. And the lady said, do you want some hot chocolate? And I was like, oh, sure. And she said, here, you can go and sit. And there was 3 other homeless guys there. She's like, I give them hot chocolate. And I was like, thank you so much. But then I was like, I don't want to be where the other homeless guys are because I'm not homeless. And I don't want to have them feel like I am in some way insulting them. Yeah. So let me leave. So I left. And now I'm on the street again. And it's cold. Freezing, right? Yeah. So now I'm like, I don't know where to go. So I walked down to 34th. Mm-hmm. And found myself at Madison Square Garden. And I saw homeless guys like walking in. And I was like, where are y'all going? And they said, oh, they let us sleep inside. And I was like, oh, great. So I walked inside, and there was like both sides lined with homeless people. And so I just joined one, and I lay down and I went to sleep, and I was like, good. And it was probably about 3 in the morning, 4 in the morning. All of a sudden, this cold air hit me. And I open up, and it's like 5 a.m. And the guy's like, okay, come on, guys. You got to go now. All right, it's 5 o'clock. 5 o'clock in the morning, because people are going to start coming to work. Yeah. You guys can't stay anymore. We let you sleep up until this time. Now you got to go fend for yourself. And I was like, wow. Yeah. And that's when I was like, okay.
I mean, bless them for that, though.
Bless them, of course, for it. But it was like society can't handle it, right? Yeah. And I thought, wow, what an interesting narrative. And I'm making this film. This is great research. Now I can go home. And that's when I swiped the card, and I got on the train, and I went back to my friend's place. And I was like, I've done enough research. I've been out in the street for one night, which is more than enough for me to understand everything I need to play this role. And first morning of filming, I got out the taxi, and we were at the park on 23rd, and there was like ice, and that's that thin sheet of ice with the water you could see underneath it. Yeah. And so I got out, and I cracked it with my foot, and then I lay down in it, and I started rolling around in it to get like the jacket dirty and my pants wet and stuff. And these 2 guys just come running up. Are you okay? Do you need help? And I was like, get away from me. Get away. I pulled and they were like, okay. And I was like, all right, all right. And then I walked in the park, and in the garbage, I found like 2 coffee cups, and like I put them together, and like there was somebody dropped another one, and like I just made my own little coffee cup thing. Yeah. And there was a remote control in the garbage, and I took out the remote control, And the director and Mike and Christina were like setting up cameras and stuff and audio and all that's being done. And I just started like, turn you off. Channel 11, and I'm just like pushing the remote at people like fast forward. And I didn't know they started rolling.
Yeah.
So when you watch the film, there's like a woman that comes and puts money in. And like, that's not an actress. That's like real. People thought I was homeless sitting there and they just started putting money in. So I made $20 that morning and I refused to eat lunch with the rest of when we broke for lunch, I didn't want to eat lunch with anyone. And I said, no, I'm going to live like a homeless person for these 4 days that we shoot. Whatever money I make is what I'm going to eat with.
Yeah.
A 99-cent slice of pizza and a Snapple. Okay. Did 2 of those. Oh, wow. $5 has gone out of 20. Oof. Okay. Other interesting things that happened was walking into Starbucks because it was so cold. Like, we shot and then we just needed to get inside.
Yeah.
We go inside Starbucks and I'm holding the door. Everybody, the crew's walking in. And then as soon as I step in, the Starbucks guy was right there. You can't come in. And Christina said, he owns the company that's making this film. the oxymoronic, like, cannot compute on his face was like, what? And I wasn't breaking character either, so I didn't say anything. And then he let me come in so we could be warm. We walked around the corner and there was a homeless guy there and he said, you look worse than me. Take this. And he gave me a bag, a Ziploc big bag. He had a fruit. And I refused it like 10 times. And he was like, no, I can see you're in a worse shape than I am. And I'm like, damn, I must be acting pretty good. This guy thinks this. He gives me the fruit. We walked 1 block so I could turn the corner. And I was like, okay, let's go give him something to eat or whatever. And I opened the bag of fruit and it was all rancid, like nasty. And I was like, he was eating this.
Yeah.
I was like, nah, man. And we went back and like that, I broke character there and I went back and I like told him and he was so thankful that I was doing the film and like we fed him and gave him money. And I was like, nah, this is crazy to me. Like insane.
Before you continue this, and this is something that I think I'm guilty. I feel guilty about. There are a lot of homeless people in New York, but there's also a huge mental health crisis.
Yeah, boy.
And there is this switch at some point that I think everyone has where you get in, you understand life is hard, things happen to people, like there's no judgment. But because of the mental health situation, you fear.
Yeah, because you don't know.
You don't know what to expect from these people. Right? Because they're going through whatever they're going through.
Yep.
And there are people who will fight you randomly.
Listen, there's a scene in the movie that talks about this. And
so everyone has this, I think everyone has this switch where it's like, at first you're like, this poor person. And I think you don't ever stop thinking this poor person, but the switch happens where you're like, I don't even want to engage because I don't know what's gonna happen if I engage.
Right.
And I bring this up because the lack of engagement is where I feel that these people lose their humanity.
Correct. It's compassion and empathy, right? And it's 2 human emotions that we're not all capable of having.
Yeah.
So there's an understanding that not everybody can do that.
Yeah.
Right. In acting, the one thing that I learned is there's only one emotion that we all share, and it's not love. It's pain.
Yeah.
Right. And so we can empathize with each other's pain because we can all feel it. And that's how you can bring about empathy, by pain.
Yeah.
Right. So if somebody's not empathetic, they've got to get in touch with their pain in order to empathize with that moment. And the scene that I put in the film came directly from what I saw, which was a woman was offering, there was a homeless woman laying down on a bench, and a woman had her food, whatever it was a croissant, and she offered the lady, hey, do you want my croissant? And this one, do I look like I want a fucking croissant? And got angry and got up and agitated and chased the woman away, and the white lady ran away. And so
you have these moments and you're like, this is what stops you from wanting to help out, because you're like, you want to help out, but you're like, you don't want to.
Exactly. So I put a scene in there just like that. Do I look like a damn croissant? Huh? I put that scene in the film to match that moment that I saw, because it was mind blowing to me. Like, wow, this lady was offering her food.
Yeah.
Like something as simple as food,
Yeah.
because she looked like maybe she wanted food, but you don't know that you're going to meet that person on that day or that moment.
And here you had someone who was actually homeless offering you the little that
he had. That blew me away. So the 4 days that I shot, the only people to speak to me were other homeless people.
Okay.
Imagine that.
Yeah.
4 days, you're in Manhattan, you're filming a movie. I own the company. I'm playing the homeless guy. I have a camera crew walking around with me. The only people to speak to me or even acknowledge that I existed were other homeless people. That was wow. And I've been in the theater and I've watched people watch this film, and I watch them cry and I smile, because I'm glad that those tears are there, that it moved you to that point. I was in Barbados. Sorry, call coming in. The film was being shown at Barbados Film Festival Awards. I was nominated for 9 awards. I did not expect to win anything. Had my suit, went in there, sat down. First award came up for me, didn't get it. Second award came up for me, didn't get it. Third award came up for me, also did not get that. So I'm like, all right, didn't expect to win anything, didn't win the first 3, I'm good. And then the next 6 awards I won. Back to back to back to back to back. And it said to me, okay, your art is worthy.
Yeah.
What you've created touched people, and it's important. And the message that I was trying to get across was gotten across.
Yeah.
Homelessness is something we can eradicate. You know, disease is different. Homelessness means people don't have a home and a means by which to provide for themselves.
Mm-hmm.
In this country, the United States of America, just this place alone where we have this type of homelessness, the physical landmass of America is only 5% populated. I'm going to repeat that. The physical landmass of this country is only 5% populated. If you take a flight from New York to Los Angeles, New York to San Diego, New York to Arizona, and you're flying across the middle of this country, and you look out that window, you will see nothing. And then at night, you will see pockets of lights of where there's a town or a city when you get closer, and then you will see nothing. Barren, empty land, nothing. And you tell me that we have homeless people? No. This isn't a disease. This is a people problem. Mm-hmm. Homelessness is a people problem. It's a society problem. It's an us problem. Mm-hmm. And it goes back to that thing with coming from Haiti.
Yeah.
You know, oh my God, this is the worst day ever. No, it's not the worst day ever. And in the context for you, if that's your worst day ever,
things are great.
Things are amazing in your life.
Yeah.
Right? And so I think there's a lot of people who are born with an ability to understand helping themselves and their family and their friends and their close ones, and that's it.
Yeah.
And then there's other people who understand that the world is a lot bigger than that, and we've got to reach out our hand to everyone.
Yeah.
I was told when I went to the summer program that I went to go into university, I was told that when you reach the wall, somebody's hand is there to reach back and pull you up and over it. Well, as soon as you get over that wall, you don't run and go on your own merry way. Your responsibility is reach your hand back over the wall and help the next person over.
Yeah.
And if you take that, and being told that as an 18-year-old young man, like, it did something, right? And so it's why it was important for me to, hey, okay, now we did this film.
Yeah.
Can I teach you?
Yeah.
You know, do you want to learn to edit? Do you want to learn? Sure. Logo, do you want to come and learn? Sure.
Yes.
You know, Gideon, you want to come and learn? Yes. Kendall, you want to come and learn? Yes. Like whoever else in St. Lucia that was there, you want to come and learn? Yes. Come, I will teach you guys. You ain't paying me nothing. I don't want nothing from you. I want to take what I see as a natural skill within you and pour whatever I can into you to help fill your cup up so that you can then go out and fill up other cups.
Yeah.
So that now when I sit down and I look at all the talent in St. Lucia, and I watching all this skill happening, Shamar doing this body doing that, Wave Maker, everybody, I'm smiling.
Yeah.
I didn't give you talent.
Yeah.
You had the talent. I just gave you encouragement and opportunity.
Yeah.
Right? And believed in and stood behind
and
said, you can do this. Come, let's try this.
Yeah.
And when I had the chance to pay, here, I'm going to pay you.
Yeah.
So like those are the important things that I think are necessary. And that's where like Egress kind of came in. I was able to bring Richie, my friend Richie, into being in the film. I was able to bring in another friend to Chiwale and make him a producer. You know, I was able to do those things.
Yeah.
And then did not have enough money to edit, to pay an editor. So then I had to edit, and it took me 3 years to edit the film. I was like, yeah, it's not good enough. It's not good enough. I need to go do ADR. And I had to do all these different things.
Yeah, yeah.
And then I'm in Cayman. We have Nexus Networks TV happening. And I get a phone call and it says, are you sitting down? No. And it's my associate producer, Jermaine. Shout out to you. And he says, well, I entered the film into a film festival. And I was like, big man, who tell you to put this film in there? I can't believe, I tell you don't do nothing with film. And he said, but you won. I won what? Like best short? And he was like, no, you won the whole festival. And I was like, what whole festival? And he was like, MCNY, like Metropolitan City College in New York. And I was like, wait, what? And I won the whole festival? And then I sat down. I just finished exercising. I was still sweaty and I was standing up in the kitchen, my boy Luigi. And I was like, wow, I won the whole festival with this film? Wow. Okay, I must have done something right. Thank you, Jermaine. So yeah, that film is like real near and dear to me. It's important for me to put out things that have some sort of a message in them. Some sort of, you know, as I said, I want to talk to the stereotypes in the film, which is great. Like there's a white guy in there with a very thick Italian accent that you think one thing about and does something else. You know, there's a black woman in there, you think one thing, does something else, you know, and then within the film, he has his own conflicts of his own self. You will see him doing some self-reflection in there. You will see, you know, a moment of deep downness for him. Yeah. We shot in the rain, like all of it. Like
he had his monologues too.
Yeah, he had his monologues that he worked on, like all of it. There's one part where there's one scene in there where we were down by the bridge and we walked down to the bridge and I only had like 2 lines to give and I just went off. Yeah. Monologuing and Michael just let me go and Christina just kept shooting. And there's a part in the movie where you see where I say, I'm not crazy. Yeah. And you'll see me turn to somebody and say, I'm not crazy. There's an actual guy who walked by and he's like, yes, you are. This typical New York fashion. And I turn and I acknowledge him. Yeah. And so I put that in the film. Yeah. You know, and then there's a moment where I kind of like take it in. And that's the moment that I've seen people in the cinema cry at. That's the moment where friends have told me, man, you really got me there. And that was all improv. None of that was scripted. And I love that about that. Yeah. You know, the very end of the film, none of that was scripted. There's some other areas where it wasn't scripted. We just did it. Yeah. There's a laundromat where we were like, I wonder if we can steal this shot in here. And we're in the laundromat, we're stealing away. And then the little Asian woman comes out. What the fuck are you doing in here? Oh, sorry, we're just trying to get this scene. We'll leave now. Yeah. But hey, we got the shot, right? Yeah. So there was a lot of like cool things like that. Yeah. And one of the things, as you know, that I like to do is put everybody who's working on the film in the film. Yeah. So my director's in there. You know, like my production manager's in there. There's different people that you will see that you don't know. Those are the people who are working on the film that are in there. Same thing with Sukuyan. I like to do that. Yeah.
I mean, it's great that, you know, I think the unscripted moments are always the best. These are what make these moments special. Yes. And I'm happy we went unscripted with this interview.
That's where you get
because
the rawness.
There's so much. You're someone who I've known for a while now. It's almost a decade at this point. And I've heard a lot of these stories, and a lot of these stories I haven't heard. And I know that you're a really great storyteller. You did not let me down. I don't think you let anyone down today, because this was such a lovely, eye-opening, wonderful experience.
It was. I appreciate it.
And I thank you so much, Sean, for coming to do this and have this conversation with me.
Listen, Johnny, thank you for having me. Thank you for doing this, that there's a platform to have this.
I mean, I'm trying.
No, you're not trying. You're doing.
I'm doing.
Trying is failing with honor.
You're right.
You're doing.
I'm doing. And but I have people helping me who are reaching out their hands to help me do as I reach my hands back out.
That's it.
To help share their stories.
That's it. Each one teach one, each one reach one.
Exactly. And so at this moment, I'd like to say thank you, Sean. Thank you, Ming, who's behind the camera today.
Big up to Ming.
Thank you, Caleb.
Thank you, Caleb. Yeah, art in.
And thank you,
our audience,
for taking the time to listen to Sean's story, listen to our conversation. And we will see you next time.
All a wanna out there. That's a Bajan thing for wanna. All a wanna. I wanna go in there. Wanna.
Have a good day.
That was good.